What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's been a while since my last video. I've been grinding Magic, I've been playing different formats, casual, competitive commander, and I'm on a cEDH kick right now, guys. It is my favorite format to play Magic. It is absolutely incredible, and today we're going to be going over my deck tech for my main deck, which is Tivit, Seller of Secrets. This is my main pile for cEDH. It is an Esper control mid-range pile. My list specifically tends to go the more mid-range, so I want to sit back, draw cards, grind out the game. I do have some stacks in here, but it's not as stacksy as some other builds. I wanted to be primarily a mid-range pile with Esper colors. I did have a coaching session with comedian MTG. His name is Ian. He's a very well-known individual in the community, a very nice, down-to-earth dude. He went and helped me form this list, tailor it to what I like to play and to my play style. So I wanted to go ahead and kind of show this deck off, do like a deck tech video on my main deck. This is what I've been grinding. I took it to a tournament last weekend. I did fairly well. And then I have a tournament coming up on September 12th in Forest City, North Carolina, which I will be taking this deck to. So my deck specifically is Tivit or Leave It, Machine of Time. If you know me, I love my decks to have a thematic theme to them. So each one is titled a specific way. Their descriptions are very cinematic. I just love that kind of the vibe that gives off. So Tivit or Leave It is like take it or leave it, you know. I just thought it was kind of funny. And then Machine of Time with the hourglasses just make the deck pop, in my opinion. And then obviously there's thematics to my description if you want to go ahead and read that as well. But let's get started on this deck tech. So obviously this is a mid-range control pile. Tivit wants to grind the game. It wants to win with Time Sieve. It is a one-card win con with Tivit, essentially. You have to cast Time Sieve, take extra turns, and you basically win with combat damage. Your goal is to swing Tivit and take out everybody with commander damage. Because you're going to be taking extra turns, and every time you take the extra turns, you sack artifacts. So here is Tivit. He is a 6-mana Esper commander with flying and ward. He is a legendary creature Sphinx Rogue with Council's Dilemma. It says whenever Tivit enters the battlefield or deals combat damage to a player, starting with you, each player votes for evidence or bribery. For each evidence vote, investigate, which is creating clues. And then for each bribery vote, create a treasure token. While voting, you may vote an additional time. So essentially, as soon as you cast Tivit, you're going to be creating 2 of artifact tokens that you prefer, whichever is treasures or clues. If you need mana, you vote treasures. If you need clues, which clues, if you don't know, you sack 2, or you pay 2 mana to sack a clue and you get to draw cards. So it's essentially a way to draw cards. So your opponents are each going to vote. Whatever you pick, they're probably going to do the opposite. So if you vote treasures, they're going to give you clues. If you vote clues, they're going to give you treasures. Because, you know, they don't want to see you accumulate too many resources. So that's what Tivit does. That's his main goal. He's a 6/6 flyer, which is great. The good thing about him is he does a lot of damage. If he does hit a player, it's 6 commander. That means you have to hit a player 4 times to kill them, which in my opinion is not very difficult per se. But here is Time Sieve. This is the piece to the combo. It is a Dimir artifact that has the tap, sacrifice 5 artifacts. Take an extra turn after this one. So essentially, every time you cast Tivit, he creates 5 artifacts if there is 4 people in the game, essentially, because each person gives you an artifact, and then you get 2. So 2 plus 3 is 5. So every time you cast Tivit, every time you blink Tivit, or every time you hit a commander, or not a commander, a player, he's going to create 5 artifact tokens. And every time you're going to sack those 5 and take an extra turn. And this is going to happen infinitely, right? Because he's creating 5, you're going to sack that to take the extra turn. He's going to come in, or whatever, you blink him back in, he's going to create 5, take an extra turn, sack the artifact tokens. You do this infinitely, and you swing out for lethal, essentially. Or, I mean, if you have another way to win, great. I mean, there's Teferi Time Raveler in here, which is the only Planeswalker I'm running, that says each opponent can cast spells only time they could cast a sorcery. So this is a pretty well-known stacks piece for this deck, just wanting to slow other people down. But it's a great way to blink Tivit or any other creature in the deck. Its -3 ability says return up to one target artifact, creature, or enchantment to its owner's hand and draw a card. So you're going to blink Tivit and draw a card, and then you're going to cast Tivit again, create more tokens, and it gets pretty bonkers after that. And we do have the Displacer Kitten, Teferi, Time Raveler, Soul Ring, Loop. Displacer Kitten is 4 mana, a cat beast with avoidance that says whenever you cast a non-creature spell, exile up to one target non-land permanent you control, then return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. This card gets bonkers crazy with Teferi Time Raveler, an artifact that you can cast. You can blink your commander pretty consistently, creating so many tokens that you're just going to run over your opponents. This also works with like Hullbreaker Horror. You can blink Hullbreaker infinitely, or somewhat, not true infinite, but a lot. You can blink it quite a bit and bounce all your opponent's permanents. Very, very good. Gilded Drake's in here as like a clone. So we have clone pieces. We're running stacks pieces like Archivist of Ogma, Drannith Magistrate. I mean, those are, pretty consistent on a lot of Tivit builds. We got Lotho and Tataru Taru for treasure generation. We got the Thassa's Oracle and Demonic Consultation win cons. We have Wan Chi Tong for card draw. It's just a very good thing to have. It's consistent card draw. Your opponents are going to want to search their library a lot, so you're going to get counters on this thing pretty easily. We have Disruption, or technically Protection, with Voice of Victory and Ranger Captain of Eos, which are going to protect your turns. We have Orcish Bowmasters to ping like Rogfrost players. They like a lot of their creatures, so we can ping them if we need to. I actually just got this foil copy from my local LGS yesterday. It was beautiful. I got it for a good price. It's awesome. Highly recommend that print. We're running clones like Mockingbird to copy like a Manadork or a Timna maybe, or a Thrasio, something, like something that's going to be useful for us. We can copy Cabbage Merchant with it, OBM, anything that's on our opponent's battlefields. We have Esper Sentinel, which is card draw. We all know and love that. For interaction here, let me pull up my my tags here, because I'm pretty sure I have tags. Yeah, so here we have Disruption package with Cursed Totem. Activated abilities of creatures can't be activated. This is just a great piece. It's going to turn off Thrasios activations, things like that, so it's insane. We got Drannith in here, like I said, which pretty much forces your opponents to cast from their hands. They can't cast from the graveyard. They can't cast from the command zone or from exile. They are strictly forced to cast things from their hand, which shuts off Underworld Breach lines and things like that, which we also run Grafdigger's Cage, which is the next card, that says creature cards in graveyards and libraries can't enter the battlefield, which means no breach lines. You can't win with Underworld Breach and do that whole thing. Players can't cast spells from graveyards or libraries. It completely shuts those kind of things off. You can still brain freeze and mill people out, but there's other ways through and to protect yourself through those kind of situations. We're running OBM, which is again to ping things, to Fury. It's to stop them from casting Flash and Instance and things like that. They can only cast things as they were sorceries. We have the 3 dual lands, Scrubland, Tundra, and Underground Sea. Those are a must. We have our bond lands with Morphic Pool and Sea of Clouds. Our card draw engines, Archivist of Ogma, so every time your opponent searches their libraries, you gain a life and draw a card. Just very good. It's an Esper staple. You just have to have it in here. We have Born Upon a Wind, which is a flash enabler that also draws you a card. So if you want to win over on top of someone, you cast Born Upon a Wind, you get to draw a card, and then you get to, win from there. Really good. Esper Sentinel is just, it's a 1 mana white card draw engine. Very good, very consistent. Gotta have it in here. It's a staple in cEDH. Mystic Remora, or as we like to call it, Fish, is a card draw engine with a cumulative upkeep, which means every time you go to your upkeep, you have to pay 1 mana into it to keep it up. So your first turn, it's free. Then second turn, you're gonna have to pay 1 to keep it alive, and it'll generate card draw for you. And then your third turn, it'll cost 2, and it'll accumulate from there. And it says whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, you may draw a card unless that player pays 4 mana. It's a staple. You have to have it in here. Again, we talked about Taru, just treasure generations. It has card draw in there, but for your opponent. And you, it's a one-time thing as soon as that she enters. However, you can blink to Taru and do that a bunch of times if you really want to. It's a good blink target. So there's that. We have Rhystic Study. I mean, come on. We're in blue. We're in cEDH. We have to have Rhystic Study. It is our main game plan. We want as many of these on the field as possible. We want as many Smothering Tithes as possible, so that is also in here. But Rhystic is specifically in here for card draw, which is why it's the main engine of the deck. Then we have Wan Chi Tong. You draw cards, you get counters. It's great. We have a channel land, which is Otawara Soaring City. Takanuma Abandoned Mire is the other channel land, but that's not really worth being in the deck because we don't really cast things from our graveyards. We don't really care about that. But Otawara is amazing for this deck. It's got the channel ability to return and bounce a permanent, so it's great. We're rocking 14 pieces of interaction here. We're on offer. We're on Commandeer. I'm the world's hater with Commandeer. I do not like this card. It is way too expensive. The only time I've ever casted it, it was hard casted. I did it in my tournament last week. I had to hard cast it to grab a Pernicious Deed to stop my opponent from blasting my stuff. And it did not feel good. I'm glad I did it, but it did not feel good. And every time I draw into this, I just don't have 2 other blue cards to pitch. So it's one of those things. I just personally don't like the card. It is very powerful, very, very strong. I just have a distaste for it. Cyclonic Rift, one of my favorite ways to disrupt opponents. It's just in this deck, Tivit naturally makes a lot of treasures and a lot of mana, so we can run Cyclonic Rift here. It's just a massive board wipe where it bounces all permanents to their hands. So they're gonna have to spend mana to recast everything, and it helps us, honestly. It's just great, and 2 mana to bounce something is not bad either. Like, you can use it on a single permanent for 2 mana too, and even cast it later if you really want to. Just a very good card in this deck. We're on Flusterstorm, obviously. Storm count gets crazy. My game last night at my local LGS, we got to storm count of, I think it was 60. I lost count after that. I have over 100 treasures. Storm count was 60. It was crazy. Flusterstorm is one of the best counter spells in that situation. You gotta have it. Force of Negation. We're on Force of Will, obviously. Mana Drain. We're on in here because Tivit, we can afford a 2 mana counterspell that gives us 5 mana. Tivit's greedy. We want the extra mana, so why not be on Mana Drain? Mental Missteps is a staple in cEDH. There's a lot of like 1 mana artifacts and things like Mana Vault, that kind of thing. So we want to be able to counter spells. There's other counter spells that cost 1 mana, like Swan Song, Offer. There's so many different things that we can use to counter with Mental Misstep. We are on Mindbreak Trap, MBT, have to be. Misdirection's a great bounce spell. Or change the target spell, not bounce technically. We're on Muddle the Mixture. It kind of does 2 things in this deck. One, it's a 2 mana counter spell, but at the same time, it also has a transmute cost of 3, so we can use it to grab a Time Sieve if we need it. It's a straight tutor to Time Sieve. We can also grab like Mana Drain with it if we really wanted to. It's not really efficient because this is a counter spell to begin with, but we can grab anything in the deck with 2 mana. So a Felwar Stone, we can grab an Arcane Signet, Mana Drain, Time Sieve, we can grab Demonic Tutor. Let's see, what else is in here? We can grab a Bowmasters or a Curse Totem. There's so many different things we can grab with this card. It's very good in Tivit, very good. It's an auto include. We're obviously on Pact and Negation. I feel like everybody in cEDH is on Pact. It's just a very good counter spell. especially if you're about to win. You want to cast this so you don't have to worry about paying the 5 mana on your next upkeep and lose the game. It's a free counterspell. You gotta have it. We are on Sink into the Stupor. It's just an MDFC. It's a land on the backside. It's a bounce spell slash counter spell on the front for 3 mana. Can't beat it in this deck. This deck wants blue pips. It wants a lot of cards and a lot of counter spells and interactions, so this is a must-have in this deck. And then last thing we're on is Swan Song. Counters, enchantments, instants, and sorceries. I mean, most relevant things are those anyway. So it's just a 1 mana counter spell, and it's great. You gotta have Swan Song in there. Ramp is pretty standard. We're on Arcane, Chrome Mox, Dark Ritual, Felwar, Grim, Lotho. Again, it's a treasure generator, very good. Lotus Petal, we're on Mana Drain, Mana Vault, Mox Diamond, Mox Opal, Smothering Tithe. This is one of the engines of the deck. Every time an opponent draws a card, we get to create a treasure token. If they don't pay 2, chances are they're not paying. So we're going to be generating a lot of treasures and a lot of mana. Sol Ring. We're on Talisman of Dominance and Talisman of Progress. I was on Hierarchy at one point, but I did take it out of the deck just because I didn't really need it. And then Tataru Taru. For tutors, we're on Tend, which is quite a bit. We're on Beseech the Mirror. I mean, it makes sense. We're an artifact deck anyway. We can just sack a clue token if we really wanted to pay the bargain cost to grab a card and put it in our hand. It's pretty crazy. Is it hand or is it battlefield? If the spell is bargain, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. If that, put it on your hand. In your hand. Okay, I think it just goes in your hand either way. Just very good counter spell. We're on Delivery Moogle, which is essentially Savine's Reclamation, but instead of just targeting your graveyard, it targets the library too. So if you just haven't drawn into Time Sieve, you can cast this and straight tutor for Time Sieve, or you can recur an artifact if you need it. Like, it's just great. It does 2 things. It kills 2 birds with 1 stone. It's better than Savine's Reclamation, in my opinion, in this deck. It's just very good. It can blink with Displacer Kitten. It's just very good. You can't go wrong with the Moogle. We're on Demonic Tutor, obviously. We have to be. Enlightened Tutor, Imperial Seal, Muddle the Mixture, Ranger Captain of Eos grabs Esper Sentinel or Mockingbird, kind of depending on what you're wanting to grab there. Most of the time I'll be grabbing an Esper with this, but we got a Transmute Artifact, a great way to grab Time Sieve. We're on Vampiric Tutor and Word of Invention, very good for Artifact. For my enchantments, these are the untagged ones. I just haven't updated this. We're on Copy Enchantment. Mirror Maid is good because it can copy artifacts and enchantments, but it's not worth the 2 extra blue pips. I've come to the conclusion that just 2 colorless and 1 blue is better, because most of the time we're copying an enchantment anyway, like Rhystic Study or Smothering Tithe, or even Gleaming Splendor in this case. We'll get to that card here soon. But we're probably just going to be copying one of those instead of an artifact to begin with, so why not make our lives hard with 2 extra blue pips when we can just use this for 1. Fateful Discovery. This is one I talked with Ian about. It's a recent card that came out in Hobbit. It is 5 mana, 3 and 2 blue pips, which, oof. But it says whenever an artifact you control enters, you draw a card. It's very good if you can play it. If you have the mana to play it, it's very good. This deck obviously is wanting to make a lot of mana, so it felt right here. This is very similar to like Mr. Fantastic Reed Richards, where every time you cast a token, you're going to be drawing a card. However, this doesn't care about tokens. This just cares for artifacts. And fortunately for us, our deck has a ton of artifacts. It makes 5 artifact tokens with Tivit every activation, and it has 15 artifacts in the deck. So it's going to draw us a card with every activation. And if you're blinking things with Fateful Discovery on board, it gets insane. With Tithe too, like, you're just going to win the game. This is a proactive card. It is a very proactive card. It's a very new card. I'm testing it out. I think it's going to do very well. I really like the artwork on this showcase version. I'm very excited to test the waters with it. And I will keep you guys updated on the progress of this, but I thought it was a very good include, and Ian recommended it as well over Reed Richards just because of the token aspect, this doesn't care about tokens. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's an enchantment too, so it's harder to interact with than a creature. Creatures are harder to interact with on the stack, but this deck doesn't really want the stag anyway. We're trying to be proactive on our turn, so it's just a good way to accumulate resources. And then the next card that came out in Hobbit is Gleaming Splendor. This is a 2-mana enchantment that says whenever an opponent draws their second card each turn, you create a treasure token. So it's essentially, it's a mini Smothering Tithe. It's a baby Smothering Tithe. But then it has an activated ability that says 2 target players each draw a card. So essentially, this is a way you can mill your opponents out if you need to with Fairy Mastermind loops, if there's a way to do that. It's a very good card. It's a way that you can draw cards and get tithes, tithe triggers, just more mana. I mean, it's got to be in this deck. This deck wants more mana. This screamed Tivit to me when it came out. So I'm glad it's here. I'm excited to try it out. We have Limb Duel's Vault. This is a recent include. It's just card selection. It's better to me than not Smothering Tide. Sensei's Divining Top and Counterbalance. I'm not a fan of that combo just because it reveals information to your opponents. I don't like revealing stuff to my opponents. This is a good way to just look at the cards. You can look at the top 5. I don't think you reveal them, so it's a secret. You know, you look at the top 5, you do this as much as you want, and you reorder them in your deck. So essentially, it is an instant, which sucks. But if you're using this the right way, you only need to use it once anyway. You can go through your whole deck if you want to. Just rearrange the whole thing. A very good card, very good card selection. It's awesome. We're running Gemstone Caverns, Cavern of Souls, mostly naming Rogue for Tivit. And it also affects Fairy Mastermind too, so that's something else to keep in mind. And then we're on Urza Saga. It just helps with the artifact synergy, creates constructs if we need it to, and then if we get to the third, the third level, you can search your library for a mana artifact that costs 0 or 1. So you can go grab a Mana Vault if you want to, or a Chrome Mox or a Mox Diamond. A very good card in here. We are on Snuff Out for removal. We're on Swords. I think Swords is better than Path to Exile just because I think it's more relevant to give our opponents life than a free basic land. cEDH is very nit and gritty. We want to hinder our opponents from getting mana at any cost, especially with all these Simic decks like Kinnan in the meta. This is just going to essentially help us for a better cost than Path would. They both cost the same, but Path to Exile gives a land, and we don't want our opponents to have extra mana. So this I just thought was more relevant to what we're trying to do. And then we're running Touch the Spirit Realm. I love this piece of removal. This thing is a protection piece and a removal piece all in one. 3 mana. It says when Touch the Spirit Realm enters the battlefield, exile up to 1 target artifact or creature until it leaves the battlefield. Or you can channel it for 2 and discard Touch the Spirit Realm. You can exile target artifact or creature and then return it to the battlefield at the beginning of the next end step. So it's a protection piece as well. You blink it back in. It's a great way to stop your opponents from killing your stuff, and it's a great way to remove scary things that your opponents cast. It does both things that you want it to do. It's great. These are 2 recent includes. Flash Photography is the staple of the format at this point in the meta right now. You just want to clone a bunch of stuff. Flash Photography has flashback, so you can just bring it back. We generate a lot of mana to pay for it anyway, so we're not too worried about it. I had this card in my NBC Kinnan list, and then I dismantled NBC and did Turbo Kinnan, so then this card came out, and I just thought it was a great include here. And then Toxic Deluge, I just like more than Amphibian Downpour. That's what was in here before. But in my local scene, I don't really see a lot of Storm turns. Last night was kind of it's rare to have the games like I did last night. So Toxic Deluge, I just think it gets around Rogfrast builds, anything like that, TNT, Cradle Farm, all that stuff. It gets through all that. Heavy creature meta battlefields. We're on all the fetch lands that we can. We're on Arid Mesa, Bloodstained, Flooded Strand, Marsh Flats, Misty Rainforest, Polluted Delta, Scalding Tarn, Verdant Catacombs, and Windswept Heath. We're on all those awesome stuff. For protection, we're on Orum's Chant, Ranger Captain, Silence, Touch the Spirit Realm, and Voice of Victory. All of the necessary stuff. We're on 3 Shocklands, Godless Shrine, Hallowed Fountain, and Watery Grave. Our win cons, there's 6 win cons in here. There's Demonic Consultation, Displacer Kitten, Loops, Tainted Pact, Thassa's Oracle, that kind of thing. Fury, and Time Sieve, obviously. Time Sieve is our main win con. That's what I'm always trying to do. It's fun. There's a lot to it. It's just different. It's cool. Very cool. Thassa's Oracle is just kind of boring, but it's there if you need it, kind of thing. It's like my backup win con for sure. And then obviously there's Displacer Kitten loops and stuff that you can do with Teferi and Soul Ring or another artifact like that. Let's see. So I'm on 2 clones here. I'm on Imposter Mech and Mockingbird. These are just really cheap. They're really efficient. Imposter Mech is a great way to get OBM if we haven't drawn into ours yet. It's a great way to disrupt our opponents. And then Mockingbird, as I said before, it can get pretty much anything on the battlefield that we really need. We have 2 Flash Enablers, Born Upon the Wind and High Fae Trickster. I have Valley Flood Caller in here. I've had High Fae Trickster in here. I don't really know what the right answer is for these. High Fae is more expensive, but it guarantees flash for everything. Whereas Valley Flood Caller doesn't really synergize well with the deck, but it is 3 mana. The bird otter synergy isn't really relevant in this deck. We're not trying to tap Wan Shi Tong or anything like that, so it doesn't really affect much. So I'm on High Fae again, testing it out. I think it's a good include. It's a good card. It's not a play pattern that I like to play, but we kind of need to use it in this deck because we don't have a lot of ways to win over the top of somebody, but here we are. We're on 5 Rainbow Lands. We're on City of Brass, Command Tower, Exotic Orchard. I'm not a fan of Exotic Orchard, but if we get it late game, it's okay. If it's in your opening hand, mulligan. That's all I gotta say. We're on Forbidden Orchard. This was a card I wasn't really sure on, but Ian kind of solidified it for me. It's not the drawback of giving someone a token isn't really that detrimental in the long term. Chances are there's probably someone in your pod that you can give it to and not really worry about. If you're going up against 3 Rog Thrasses, then you're kind of screwed, but it's not really relevant. So we don't really have to worry about giving that token to someone too much. But we're also on Mana Confluence as well. It's just a good rainbow land. And then for Soul Land, we're on Ancient Tomb. And then we're on Fairy Mastermind. I was on King T'Challa because I liked him, and King T'Challa activates on our turns, on our draws, which I thought was better, but Fairy Mastermind is more synergy with the deck. It is essentially a win con with Smothering Tides and 2 Smothering Tides, that kind of thing. With Rhystic Study, too, on top of that, it gets bonkers. And obviously, you can have everyone draw a card and get tides from that as well, with 4 mana activation. So it's just very good. It's 2 mana. It will die to a Bowmaster, which I'm not really a fan of, but I think it's the best slot for this deck. I think King T'Challa is very good, and I prefer him, but I don't think it's as powerful as Fairy Mastermind in this synergy, but I'm curious what you guys think about that. Leave it in the comments. We are on a Gilded Drake. We're on 1 Drake. We don't need to be on 2. We're in Esper, so we want 1. But this card is just good that, it is a 2 mana flyer and that comes into play. You exchange it with any other creature. So you can exchange it with someone's commander or, just anything relevant. It's just very good. And then we're on Hullbreaker Horror, which you don't really see in a lot of Tivit builds, but very good in this deck because you can bounce with Displacer Kitten, bounce him back in, he'll flicker back in. You'll have to bounce your opponent's permanents. You can win this way. It doesn't need to be an infinite combo to really win. It's here for utility. It's great. It's great. It's expensive, but it's good. We are an expensive deck. We can figure it out. We'll get there. I have two sideboard cards. It's Downpour. This is just a slot with Toxic Deluge. If I switch with, they're interchangeable. You can use either one that you prefer. Um, and then Wish Claw. A tutor's nice. It's a 2 mana tutor. You know, it's very good. It's just really, you have to know what you're doing with this card. So it's in the sideboard for now. And once I get more experience playing the deck, that kind of thing, I might put it back in. But for now, I like Limdual's Vault more. That's just me though. That's the deck, guys. I think I covered everything. Let me know what you think. This is not really relevant. Don't really look at that. But here's the mana curve. It's pretty decent. I think it's pretty good. Um, Ian and I worked for about an hour on this deck, getting it perfected and talking about it. Um, but that is my deck tech for Tivit, Cellar of Secrets. This is my main. I will do a Kinnan Bonder Prodigy Turbo deck as well sometime on the channel here, because that is my secondary deck. But for now, I wanted to cover my main, kind of go over everything, and let you know what I've been doing since my last video. I've been grinding cEDH, just going through life, that kind of thing. But thank you guys so much for watching. Please smash that like button, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.